some online discussions and government reports.
Exactly. We've got the Times of India, Mashable, Foreign Policy Research Institute, Juniper Research, a Reddit thread that definitely caught our eye, a PBS NewsHour report, and even a YouTube deep dive on Social Security changes.
Right, the mix.
Our mission is simple. Cut through the noise. We want to give you that essential shortcut to being truly well-informed about how some, frankly, monumental shifts in government policy and digital currency are directly impacting your daily life.
Right, from your data security, your Social Security, all the way up to the global economy.
And the stakes, they couldn't be higher. We're talking about potential risk to, 300 million Americans' data? A huge pivot on crypto from the very top.
And this Social Security reset that's creating both opportunities and some pretty big challenges for people.
Okay, so let's kick things off with what feels like a genuine bombshell. It involves the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and the Social Security Administration, the SSA.
Yeah, this one is pretty striking. The core accusation comes from Charles Borges, who's actually the SSA's chief data officer.
Okay.
He alleges that DOGE officials copied the entire SSA database. We're talking over 300 million records.
The whole thing?
The whole thing, apparently. And this is the really concerning part, they supposedly put this massive, sensitive data set onto a vulnerable cloud server with basically no security oversight.
Wait, hold on. No security oversight. That sounds almost unbelievable for data this sensitive. What kind of data are we actually talking about here? It's not just addresses, is it?
No, far from it. That's the crux of the issue. The sheer volume and, more importantly, the sensitivity of the data. It includes Social Security numbers, obviously, but also citizenship status, parents' names, even things like health diagnoses, detailed banking records, income information. I mean, think about that. Your entire financial and maybe even medical footprint.
Just sitting there, potentially unsecured.
That's the fear. And it really highlights this tension, doesn't it? This push for efficiency, maybe driven by a sort of Silicon Valley mindset, move fast, break things.
Right.
Clashing directly with the careful, deliberate approach you need when you're handling citizens' most private information.
That's a really good point. And the potential consequences. Borges, the whistleblower, he warned about some terrifying outcomes.
He did. Widespread identity theft is the big one, obviously. But also the potential loss of vital benefits, health care, food assistance for millions.
Catastrophic.
Absolutely. And imagine the government trying to reissue Social Security numbers for everyone.
Yes.
The cost, the chaos. It would be a national crisis. It would just shatter public trust.
So what does the SSA say? Have they responded to this?
They have. Their spokesperson, Nick Perrine, stated they take all whistleblower complaints seriously. They maintain the data is stored in secure systems, quote, walled off from the internet. They say the data mentioned is in a long-standing SSA environment. But, the whistleblower's point wasn't just where it usually is, but this alleged unauthorized copy and move to somewhere new and potentially unsafe.
Right. That distinction is key. It still leaves a lot of questions open. And DOGE, this isn't its first controversy, is it?
Not at all. It was created under President Trump. Folks like Elon Musk were involved. The goal was cutting waste and fraud. But sources point to previous legal fights over accessing SSA records, accusations they drastically exaggerated savings while maybe cutting essential programs.
And wasn't the person at DOGE who supposedly signed off on this risk, didn't he have ties to Musk's other companies?
That's right. Aaron Mogadassi, DOGE's embedded CIO at the SSA, reports say he accepted the security risks. And yes, he previously worked at X and Neuralink. So, yeah, the broader context makes you wonder about priorities efficiency versus, basic security protocols.
Okay, wow. Let's shift gears now. From internal government data handling to a huge policy change shaking things up globally. President Trump's complete reversal on cryptocurrency.
Yeah, this is quite the pivot. I mean, this is someone who called Bitcoin not money, a scam, just a few years back.
And now?
Now he's embracing digital assets fully. He's even kind of adopted the unofficial title of crypto president. His stated goal, make the U.S. the world capital of digital assets.
That's a big ambition. Has he actually done anything concrete to back that up?
Oh, definitely. Things have moved fast. Forbes, Wikipedia, they've tracked this closely. Key personnel changes, for starters. Gary Gensler resigned as SEC chair.
Okay, that's significant.
Huge. And he was replaced by Paul S. Atkins, who's known to be much more crypto-friendly. Then you have Scott Besson, a pro-crypto hedge fund manager nominated for Treasury Secretary.
Right.
And David O. Sachs, the venture capitalist, appointed as White House AI and crypto czar. These aren't small moves. It signals a real philosophical shift from the top down.
So new people, new philosophy. What about actual policies? What actions really show this crypto president direction?
Well, policy is where it really hits the ground. An executive order created a U.S. crypto stockpile. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, Cardano are in there.
The government is holding crypto now.
Apparently so. And then, maybe even more striking, they banned a U.S. central bank digital currency, a CBDC, that completely reverses a previous executive order.
So the government won't create its own digital dollar.
Exactly. No Fed-issued digital dollar.
Yeah.
That's distinct from private cryptos or stablecoins. And they're also actively working to make the U.S. the global center for Bitcoin mining, which has, big energy implications.
It really sounds like an aggressive embrace. But how does this push for less regulation fit with protecting consumers? Especially after all the crypto blowups we've seen. Aren't those things kind of contradictory?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's real tension. The administration's argument is basically that the old rules were stifling innovation. A lighter touch, they say, will let the U.S. lead. They argue failures were due to bad actors, not the tech itself. And clearer, less restrictive rules will ultimately help consumers by creating a stronger market. And we're seeing the effects.
Like what?
The SEC dropping lawsuits or dismissing charges against big names, Coinbase, Kraken, Consensus, Robinhood, OpenSea, Cumberland. They even settled with Ripple.
Wow.
The Justice Department's crypto enforcement team disbanded. And then there was the presidential pardon for BitMEX, the first corporate pardon ever. That sent the message.
A corporate pardon? And I heard something about meme coins, too.
Yeah, the SEC declared meme coins are not subject to its oversight.
Wait, really? After all the hype and speculation, why carve those out?
It is a significant change. The rationale seems to be that meme coins often lack clear utility or a central entity behind them, so they don't easily fit the definition of a security under current law. So in this new environment, the SEC seems to be saying, okay, these are maybe more like digital collectibles or cultural things, not traditional investments we need to regulate. It really shows a different philosophy, market freedom over, broad regulatory reach.
It certainly makes you wonder about the long-term stability. And this domestic policy shift, it feeds right into this bigger global issue, doesn't it? The digital dollar dilemma.
Absolutely.
New digital currencies are challenging the U.S. dollar's long reign. The Foreign Policy Research Institute laid this out pretty clearly.
And that reign has brought the U.S. huge benefits for decades. Lower inflation for us, lower interest rates, the ability to run big deficits without immediate disaster.
Right, plus transaction fees and that crucial sanctions leverage. The dollar's dominance is real power.
Exactly. It's fundamental to American economic and geopolitical strength.
And stablecoins are a big part of this changing picture. Could you just quickly remind listeners what exactly a stablecoin is?
Sure. Basically, they're digital currencies designed to hold a steady value. They're usually pegged, often one-to-one, to a stable asset like the U.S. dollar.
Okay.
They try to give you the benefits of crypto speed transparency without the wild price swings of, say, Bitcoin. They're becoming really important for digital transactions globally.
So if they're pegged to the dollar, that sounds good for the U.S., right? Why is it a dilemma?
That's the tricky part. It gets right to the heart of it. While the U.S. decided not to create its own official digital dollar, it's CBDC.
Right, the ban you mentioned.
It's effectively letting private companies take the lead. And crucially, many of these companies aren't based in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Take Tether USDT, issued by a Hong Kong company, Ifinex. It claims dollar backing, processed over $18 trillion in transactions in 2022. It's even used for taxes in some places, like Lugano, Switzerland.
18 trillion, wow.
So the problem isn't digital dollars per se, it's who controls the system, who sets the rules.
I see. So non-U.S. firms are defining the rules for dollar-linked digital money outside of direct U.S. control. How does that actually weaken the dollar's advantages?
Well, think about sanctions. Transactions using something like Tether might bypass the traditional U.S. banking system entirely. A sanctioned country could potentially trade more easily.
So it reduces our visibility and control.
Exactly. We lose insight into how our currency is moving globally. Plus, there's the risk tied to the company issuing the stablecoin. What if Tether, the company, has a major problem, even if it's unrelated to the dollar itself?
Like the Terra Luna collapse.
Precisely. A corporate failure could shake global confidence, not just in that stablecoin, but potentially in the dollar itself, if that stablecoin is seen as the digital dollar alternative. And long-term, maybe these stablecoins start referencing other assets, slowly untethering from the USD.
And connecting this globally, the U.S. holding back on its own CBDC while others, like China with its digital yuan and this Enbridge project,
Right, the cross-border payments project.
yeah, they're actively pushing forward. It sounds like the U.S. risks falling behind. It's not just what we are doing, but what we're not doing.
That sums it up perfectly. It's a major geopolitical choice. Does the U.S. try to shape these new digital finance rules proactively? Or does it risk losing a massive amount of control and influence, maybe to rivals? That tension between innovation and control is right there.
And this theme of reset and changing rules isn't just global finance. It's hitting home for millions of Americans with Social Security. A YouTube deep dive really highlighted this.
Yeah, the stated goal of this Social Security reset is, well, ambitious. They want to clean up what they see as a system plagued by problems, lost checks, fraud, overpayments. The administration's line is about making it work for the people who actually paid in. It's a strong focus on accountability.
And for listeners receiving benefits, there's a clear September payment schedule. If your birthday is 1st to 10th, payment is Sept 10th, 11th to 20th, that's Sept 17th, and 21st to the end of the month, Sept 24th.
Right. And there are those special groups, pre-97 recipients, dual SSIS folks, people whose state pays their Medicare premium. Those abroad, they get paid earlier, September 3rd.
There was also that quirky double payment twist for some SSI folks, right? Because of Labor Day.
Yeah, September 1st was the holiday, so the September SSI payment went out early, August 29th, meaning they got 2 payments in August. It's, a temporary cash flow thing, not a policy change, but it shows how complex the timing can be.
Okay, but the really big and maybe worrying part is this overpayment crackdown.
That's definitely a critical point and causing real concern. They're aiming to claw back an estimated $23 billion in funds paid out by mistake over the years.
$23 billion. How are they doing that?
By docking benefits, up to 50% of monthly checks for retirees and SSDI recipients. For SSI, it's 10% docked each month until the debt is paid.
50%. That's huge for someone on a fixed income.
It's incredibly harsh for many. There was this anecdote about a 23-year-old facing a $14,000 bill for childhood benefits they didn't even know they got. It shows how past system errors are now landing hard on individuals.
Wow. So is this a necessary cleanup for the fund's health, or is it punishing people for mistakes that weren't their fault? That seems to be the core question.
That's exactly the dilemma. Where do you draw the line between fiscal responsibility for the trust fund and fairness to individuals caught in the gears?
And speaking of drawing lines, the stance on immigrant eligibility has gotten much stricter, too.
Very much so. The message is blunt. If you did not pay in, you don't get to take out. Period. Benefits are now explicitly reserved for American workers.
That's a very clear position.
It is. It reflects a certain ideology about social safety nets,
Yeah.
that they should directly mirror contributions. It emphasizes fiscal responsibility. But of course, it sparks a huge debate about the purpose of a safety net and who it should cover.
Definitely a contentious point. Okay, so amidst all this tightening and clawbacks, are there any potential positive changes or relief measures on the horizon for beneficiaries?
Yes, actually. While there are challenges, there's also momentum building for some proposals that could help. President Trump has signaled support for $600 tariff rebate checks.
Tariff rebates? How'd that work?
The idea is tariff revenues are supposedly overflowing, so this money could go back to consumers as automatic payments, similar to, the pandemic stimulus checks.
Interesting. What about actual Social Security benefit amounts? Any talk of increases?
Yes, and this could be significant. There's the Social Security Expansion Act being discussed. If passed, it could mean a $2,400 annual boost for seniors and disability recipients.
$2,400 a year. That would make a real difference for many.
Absolutely. And the same bill aims to raise the minimum benefit to 125% of the poverty line. That's around $19,560 a year. It's potentially life-changing for those at the lowest benefit levels.
And anything about adjusting benefits for inflation? That's always a big concern.
Yes. There's a push to reform how the KLA, the cost of living adjustment, is calculated. The goal is to tie it more closely to real senior expenses.
Instead of general inflation measures.
Exactly. The hope is for higher, fairer annual raises that actually keep pace with the costs retirees face, not letting benefits erode over time.
So these aren't laws yet, but there's some potential good news mixed in.
Right. None of this is guaranteed, but there's definitely momentum building, as the sources say, a potential path towards some actual relief for people.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it really brings us back to that core tension we've seen across the board. This aggressive drive for efficiency, the huge shifts in finance, and the strict new accounting for social programs.
Yeah.
In this Trump and DOGE reset, like you said, there seem to be clear winners and clear losers. The question for you, listening, is probably, which side of that ledger do you fall on? Or maybe, what do you do about it?
It's a powerful summary. This deep dive really underscores that these aren't just abstract policies. They have tangible effects on millions of people's lives.
Right.
And they force us to ask fundamental questions about fairness, about accountability, about our country's place in the world, all in this incredibly fast-changing environment. It's complex stuff.
It really is. And it leaves us with a final thought. As technology keeps reshaping everything, our money, our government, how much control are we, as citizens, really willing to give up for the sake of efficiency or innovation? And maybe more importantly, who ends up paying the hidden costs? Which parts of society might bear the brunt of these changes in ways we don't even foresee yet? Something definitely worth mulling over. We really encourage you to keep digging into these issues yourselves. Understanding these shifts is absolutely key to navigating your own future. All right, let's really dig in today. We're diving headfirst into some incredibly important and honestly a bit unnerving intersections of government, your personal data, and, well, the future of our financial lives.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. We've got sources from all over major news outlets, research institutes, even some online discussions and government reports.
Exactly. We've got the Times of India, Mashable, Foreign Policy Research Institute, Juniper Research, a Reddit thread that definitely caught our eye, a PBS NewsHour report, and even a YouTube deep dive on Social Security changes.
Right, the mix.
Our mission is simple. Cut through the noise.